Some trucks are built to carry loads, but a few are built to challenge reality itself. These are machines that make you stop, stare, and question every law of engineering. Today, you're about to meet trucks so strange, so bold, and so ahead of their time that many people still don't believe they ever existed. Imagine a truck that walks on legs, another shaped like a rolling glass bubble, and one that can cross swamps like a giant mechanical spider. These aren't just vehicles. They're experiments, dreams, and in some cases, pure mechanical madness that somehow came to life. So buckle up, because once you see the first one, you'll realize the world of trucks is far weirder than you ever imagined. Let's start with the machine. That didn't just move. It stomped. The walking truck. Back in the 1960s, before sci-fi movies took over Hollywood, a group of US engineers decided to build something that felt impossible. A truck that didn't have tires. Instead, it walked on 4 hydraulic legs like a robotic animal. Officially called the General Electric Cybernetic Walker, this beast was designed for rough terrain where normal trucks got stuck. The pilot sat in a glass bubble cockpit and controlled each leg using hand and foot levers. It weighed nearly 3,000 pounds and could lift more than its own body weight. Each leg moved independently, and you could literally see it stepping over boulders like a giant metal elephant. The crazy part? It worked. But there was one problem. It was exhausting. The operator had to control every joint manually, and driving it felt like doing a full gym workout for hours. Today, the walking truck sits quietly in a museum, but its influence lives on in robotics. Boston Dynamics? Yeah. This truck walked first. And if you think that was strange, wait until you see a truck that was built not to climb obstacles, but to float over them. Meet the Sherp ATV, often called the truck that laughs at nature. You've probably seen clips of this thing online, climbing out of lakes like a sea monster. Built in Russia, the Sherp looks like a shrinking tank with huge balloon-like tires. These tires are the secret. They can inflate and deflate automatically, allowing the Sherp to climb over ice, mud, snow, and even trees. If it falls into a lake, no problem. Those giant wheels turn into paddles, and it swims like a bathtub toy. It can even climb out of water onto dry land at a 35-degree angle, something almost no other vehicle on Earth can do. There's no suspension because the tires themselves absorb every bump. And with its tiny diesel engine sipping fuel like a lazy turtle, the Sherp can run for hours in places most humans never go. Some rescue teams use it, some explorers use it, and some rich people buy it just for fun. But all of them agree, the Sherp doesn't drive through nature. It dominates it. But the next machine didn't just dominate terrain. It conquered a whole frozen continent. The Antarctic Snow Cruiser. If you've never heard of this monster, don't worry, most people haven't, because the project was a spectacular failure wrapped inside a brilliant idea. In 1939, the US government decided to explore Antarctica and commissioned one of the largest off-road vehicles ever attempted. The snow cruiser was 55 feet long, weighed 37 tons, and looked like a giant rolling whale. The plan was for it to travel thousands of miles across ice using smooth, treadle-sized tires. Yes, smooth tires. Why? Engineers believed wide, smooth wheels would float over snow like skis. In theory, it was genius. In reality, it just sank. The tires dug into the ice like it was soft sand, and the snow cruiser barely moved. At one point, the driver discovered it actually drove better. In reverse. After a few attempts, the crew parked it, used it as a shelter, and eventually abandoned it when the expedition ended. To this day, no one knows where the snow cruiser is. Some people believe it's buried under the Antarctic ice shelf, waiting to be rediscovered like a frozen time capsule. But before we go hunting for it, let's jump to something that actually worked. A truck designed to bring supplies anywhere. No matter how unreachable, the M520 Goer, if the snow cruiser struggled in ice, the Goer thrived in chaos. Built for the US Army in the 1960s, it looked like someone glued giant wheels to a shipping crate and called it a day. No suspension, no body panels, just 4 wheels the size of small houses. The Goa didn't try to hide what it was, a pure utility beast. Its massive balloon tires acted as shock absorbers, allowing it to crawl through mud, water, and rough terrain while carrying more than 8 tons of cargo. It floated. It swam. It handled jungles and deserts like it was born there. Soldiers said the Goa looked ugly but moved like magic. Even though it bounced around like a drunken kangaroo on solid pavement, off-road it was unstoppable. It served for years before being replaced, and today, the few remaining Goas are tucked away in private collections or military depots. But trust me, the next truck on this list will make every other machine look small. The Labatt T282B. This isn't just a truck. It's a skyscraper with wheels. Standing over 24 feet tall and stretching more than 50 feet long, the T282B is one of the largest and most powerful haul trucks ever built. You don't climb into it, you ascend it. A staircase leads to the cabin, which sits higher than a 2-story building. Its diesel engine produces nearly 3,650 horsepower, enough to power 20 normal pickup trucks at once. And it can carry 400 tons of rock in a single trip. That's the weight of 250 cars. Its tires are so huge that one alone costs more than a brand new sports car. Everything about the T282B is extreme: the sound, the size, the power. Yet inside, the driver sits in a quiet, air-conditioned cabin, steering the entire mountain-eating machine with just a few controls. Mining companies use it to move earth on a scale most people never see. But the next truck isn't about size. It's about shape. Coming up, a truck that looked like a rolling glass UFO. The Lucida's Glass Transporter. If you ever saw this truck on the road, you'd swear it came from another planet. Built in Italy in the early 1970s, the Lucida's Transporter was designed to carry giant sheets of glass without cracking a single centimeter. But the engineers went wild with the design. Instead of a normal cab, they built a giant, curved bubble around the driver, almost like a goldfish bowl on wheels. The windshield wrapped all the way around the cockpit. No pillars, no corners, just pure glass. The driver sat in the center, floating inside a panoramic dome that gave a full 180-degree view. It looked stylish, futuristic, and honestly, a little terrifying. One hit from a rock, and the poor driver would feel like they were inside a crystal egg. But here's the surprising part. The bubble was made from reinforced safety glass, built thick enough to survive real road conditions. The truck's long, low frame kept the sheet stable, and its soft air suspension protected the fragile cargo. People would stop in the streets to stare at it. Some even followed it just to take pictures. It was more than a truck, it was a moving display case. Only a few were ever built, and the surviving ones now sit in European museums, glowing under museum lights like forgotten art pieces. But if you think that's artistic, the next one looks like something a mad scientist would dream up. The KRAZ255B Amphibious Lab. Now this one wasn't built for beauty. It was built for survival. Created in the Soviet Union during the Cold War, the KRAZ255B was a massive off-road truck known for brute power. But one version was modified into a floating engineering lab. Yes, a floating lab. Engineers sealed the belly, added pontoons, fitted propeller drives, and turned the truck into a swimming workshop. It could roll into a river, start its propellers, and move like a boat. Scientists used it to transport equipment along Siberian rivers where no roads existed. It could handle freezing water, sharp ice, and strong currents. And when it reached land, it simply rolled back out and kept driving like nothing happened. Even today, that idea feels insane, an off-road lab that transforms into a boat. But it worked, and some of the original units are still rusting away in remote parts of Russia, half buried in snow like frozen relics waiting to be rediscovered. And while the KRAZ was built to survive extreme cold, the next truck was designed for the exact opposite heat so intense that nothing else could move. The Oshkosh. RS Fire Behemoth. Imagine a wildfire so large that normal fire trucks can't get anywhere near it. That's why this monster exists. The Oshkosh Massive Mobility Response System is a truck built for disaster zones where everything is burning. It's covered in heat-resistant plates. It has sealed electronics. It has an internal air system so the driver can breathe even when smoke is everywhere. Its tires are coated with a fireproof compound that can withstand temperatures that melt steel. Then there's the pump capable of spraying thousands of gallons of water or foam per minute. On top of that, the MMRS can climb steep mountains, push through fallen trees, and cross through burning ground without stalling. Some firefighters call it the fire bulldozer. It has saved entire neighborhoods by reaching places no other vehicle could. But even this beast looks tiny compared to the next machine. The largest truck Canada ever built, the TC497 Overland Train Mark II. If a normal truck is a vehicle, this was a land-based train. Built in 1962 by Letourneau for the US military, the TC497 was designed to haul military cargo across deserts where no roads existed. And when I say haul, I mean something legendary. The overland train stretched almost 600 feet. That's nearly 2 football fields long. It had 4 massive engines, each powering electric motors inside the wheels. No locomotive, no rails. Just a giant mechanical snake crawling across sand and rock. The wheels were so huge that a grown man could stand inside one like a hamster wheel. Each trailer had a steering system, so the entire train could bend around corners like a monstrous caterpillar. With a top speed of about 30 miles per hour, it wasn't fast. But speed wasn't the mission. Carrying tons of supplies through terrain that would destroy normal trucks was. Sadly, by the time the overland train was finished, helicopters and cargo planes made long-range land trains unnecessary. The giant machine was parked in the desert and abandoned. Parts of it still sit there today, baking under the sun like the bones of a mechanical dinosaur. But before we leave the desert, let's shift to something that runs on exact precision and technological engineering. The Mercedes-Benz Experimental Kalani truck. This is the one that looks like a spaceship. Designed by Luigi Kalani, a German industrial designer famous for curves and futuristic shapes, this truck pushed aerodynamics to the limit. Instead of straight lines and sharp angles, the Kalani truck looked like melted glass, smooth, flowing, and almost too perfect. The cab tilted forward like the nose of a Formula One car. The windshield stretched like a single piece of sculpted crystal. The sides curved inward like the body of an aircraft. This dramatic shape wasn't just for looks. Kalani wanted to reduce drag and increase fuel efficiency. And tests showed he succeeded. The truck used up to 30% less fuel than traditional square-shaped trucks. Inside, the driver sat in a high central cockpit with a wraparound view. It felt more like flying than driving. Sadly, production was too expensive, and the world wasn't ready for such a wild design. Only prototypes were made, and they still appear at auto shows today, reminding everyone that creativity can be as powerful as horsepower. But if you think curves are cool, the next truck is pure danger. The Blastmaster 600 mining support vehicle. This monster isn't famous online, but it should be. Built for extreme mining conditions in Australia, the Blastmaster 600 transports explosives. Yes, explosives. And because of that, it had to be built like a rolling bunker. The famous thick steel. The cabin is blast shielded. The electrical system is isolated to prevent sparks. The tires are anti-static. Every inch of this truck is designed to survive an accidental detonation. The Blastmaster moves slowly, carefully, and deliberately, crawling through mine tunnels with the calmness of a surgeon carrying dynamite. Only a handful exist, and they're operated by specialists trained to stay calm under pressure. And when you see one up close, you realize this is not a truck for normal people, but a final machine? That one takes not normal to a whole new level. The Big Bud 747, the world's largest farm truck. At first glance, you might think this is a tractor, but don't be fooled. The Big Bud 747 is so massive it qualifies as a truck by every mechanical definition. Built in Montana in 1977, this thing stands 14 feet tall and weighs more than 60,000 pounds. Its tires are taller than some cars, its engine, a 16-cylinder Detroit diesel producing over 1,100 horsepower. Farmers used it to pull the largest plows ever made, covering huge fields in a single pass. Watching the big bud move is like watching a building come to life. For decades, it worked quietly on American farms until people realized just how monstrous it really was. Today, it's restored and displayed at the Heartland Museum, where visitors stand next to it to feel tiny. And when you see it in person, one thought hits you immediately. Humans will always find a way to build something bigger. And after seeing all these mechanical giants, one thing becomes clear. Trucks aren't just tools. They're stories of courage, imagination, and engineers who refuse to accept limits. From walking machines and floating labs to desert, trains and rolling glass capsules, these incredible creations prove that anything is possible when someone dreams big enough. So tell me, which one of these unbelievable trucks shocked you the most? Would you ride the walking robot, the 600-foot land train, or the futuristic glass bubble truck? Drop your favorite in the comments, hit like if you enjoyed the ride, and subscribe for more journeys into the world of extreme machines. Because these aren't just trucks, they're mechanical legends born from human imagination.